Well, hi everybody. My name is Jim Burns, and right now you are in the Bullyproof Classroom, and we're going to be taking a look at some of the solutions to this problem of a lack of self-control. Now, I've placed a document on your in your course that goes over this with a story in there that I took from my childhood, which I think you might find interesting. And I've also included there the operational definition of character qualities that will prove useful to you as you move forward and you begin to teach character in your classroom either this year or next year. Now, I've included 10 character qualities in this presentation that I think if you begin to work on them, you will help your students develop greater self-control. There's 2 or 3 things that we have to do to improve the self-control of our students, and we're going to be taking a look at them right now. The premise is that we've lost self-control as families, schools, society, as a culture. No one has it. I'm not saying that no one has it in every area of life. Some people don't smoke, but they might drink. Some people overeat, but they don't smoke. Some people do drugs, but they don't drink. I mean, it depends what your problem of choice is, I guess. But we all have a problem with self-control in certain areas. And we want to look at helping our students and our children so that they don't move forward in life with the same control issues. Now, if you remember what I told you in the presentation, it's all about balance. You can't sit at a desk all day and not get some exercise. You got to balance it, and you have to work on it. You can't eat dessert every night if you tend to gain weight. And you have to know that when you lose your temper, it has to be for good reasons, and you have to try to resolve a problem rather than remaining bitter and angry at the conclusion of the argument. Every argument has to have a resolution, because if there is no resolution, somebody's going to be mad and stay mad and bring up the problem during another argument. So that's the premise. We want to teach kids how to create balance and have better self-control. First thing we have to do is stop asking these kids for things and start telling them to do it. And I cannot overemphasize this enough. We cannot ask kids if they want to do page 4 in math. We can't ask them where pencils are. We can't, none of it. We, as the adult, the teacher, the authority figure, have to be in control of the situation. Now, there are consequences for being unprepared, being late, disrespect, and irresponsibility. Those consequences have to be imposed consistently and fairly. And we as adults can't blow our top, give 20 warnings, and expect kids to do what we want them to do. You tell them what you want them to do, and if they don't do it, you give them fair warning, and I shared that earlier. And then after that, you impose the consequence. If you start clowning around with that and giving people too many chances, they'll know when their 4th chance comes that you're going to, that's when they'll do it. By that time, you'll be ready to pull your hair out. And often, I've thought about it, kids do things repeatedly that are related to a lack of self-control, but could it be because we give too many warnings? I'm not sure, but it's something to consider. Now, the next thing that we have to look at is how can we help kids delay gratification? And I shared this in a story that's in your documents. And the story goes like this. There was a young teacher named Sister Houlihan who was my teacher when I was in grammar school. She was no more than 4 feet tall, but she can control a classroom of 60 boys. Why? Because she made the decision that we were going to get what we wanted when she was ready to give it to us. And again, there were no questions asked. She didn't ask us if we wanted to go to church, if we wanted to walk in a straight line, if we wanted to memorize some material, if we wanted to do math, page 3 in math. She didn't ask us any of that. And when good things were coming, we had to work for them. I mean, they don't do this today, but they should. Today, the question might be, listen, complete these 4 pages in math, and when you're done, I'll give you 4 more. Back then, if you completed an assignment and you worked pretty diligently during the first part of the afternoon, we went outside and played softball or football. We had the opportunity because we had to do something, we had to earn something, the gratification was delayed, we waited, and then we got it. And most of the time in society today, in schools and even in homes, nobody wants to wait. People get bent out of shape when they have to wait too long on a drive-up window line at McDonald's. Nobody wants to wait in a line. Nobody wants to wait till they save money. Nobody wants to wait, till tomorrow before they get paid. They use a credit card and buy something immediately. And we have to make sure that kids have the ability to develop the willpower and keep their thoughts in line so that they can delay gratification and develop the necessary patience, which is one of the qualities we're going to talk about, so that they then can receive the reward, but they didn't get it right away. It's a key piece in this area of self-control. Now, we have to teach character qualities that promote self-control. And there's a quote for you: character is the real foundation of all worthwhile success. I agree. Character is the foundation of life. Character is more important than your ability to succeed academically. Character is who you are when nobody's looking, but character is something that needs to be developed, and it needs to be something that is internalized, and it cannot be, and character education programs certainly cannot be a haphazard type program that gets taught once in a while in school, and then when we have the character quality of the month, everyone gets a certificate. It can't work that way. The reward for good character needs to be given to those who have truly earned it, and if they have to wait for it, that is something that they will have to learn how to do and develop the quality of patience in order to do it. Now, what are these qualities? Caring, contentment, and I'm not going to read these to you, they're in front of you on the screen. Deference. That's a key right there. Deference. Deference is key because what it's doing is it's placing the another person in front of you. In other words, you're not first. Okay, you're limiting your freedom for the benefit of those around you. Contentment basically says, I got everything I need. What's the problem? I don't need anything else. Caring is you're giving to others. And you don't have any motive or anything like that. It's all a matter of placing others first. And not, so you have to wait a little bit. So there's a certain amount of control that you have to wait your turn. You're giving to others. You have everything you need. You're limiting your freedom. Diligence. You don't sit back and lay back and say, well, I'll get to that job some other time. You put your energy into the task. Endurance. We all get placed under stress. Are we going to whine and show a lack of self-control? Or are we going to have some inward strength? Enthusiasm. Showing that you love what you're doing, rather than giving in to sometimes a mundane task and going around and complaining about the fact that you don't like what you're doing. And this happens in the classroom. Teachers at times can lack enthusiasm for their subject matter, and the kids pick up on it. We lose self-control in the classroom. Initiative. Recognizing and doing what needs to be done, instead of waiting for somebody to tell you to do it or asking you to do it. As a kid, if you have a son or a daughter, help them develop initiative. You'll never have to worry about having the garbage taken out. Maturity. You're subordinating impulses. The impulse to take the path of least resistance and mediocrity. You're looking to try and deal with the situation from what your values are, not your impulses. It's punctuality. It's real nice to lay in bed a little bit in the morning when you have to get up for work or go to school. The bottom line is you could be late. And if punctuality is important to you, you'll get out of bed. And you'll get going where you need to go. And you will have a respect for the time of others. And if somebody says, I'm going to pick you up in 15 or 20 minutes, you're going to be ready. And then we have the last one, patience. The ability to suppress restlessness or annoyance in waiting. This is what kids have to develop. Waiting online for a drink of water, waiting online in the cafeteria. Control yourself. Stop hopping all over the place. Learn how to sit for 10 minutes at a time. Learn how to wait. Figure out things you can do while you're waiting. Occupy your mind. Do something constructive during the waiting period. Now, what are some of the benefits of self-control? And there are a few here that I just want to go over. It keeps in check self-destructive behavior. In other words, addictive behavior and obsessive and compulsive behavior. You have to think before you do it. It gives you a sense of mastery over your life. And for those people that are in authority, the biggest thing that they have to do is they got to master themselves before they can work with others. And you notice also it brings balance into your life. Keeps you from becoming over-emotional. So your response isn't some flippant, angry response based upon circumstances that have nothing to do with your conversation with the person you're speaking with. It eliminates the feeling of helplessness and this idea of being so dependent on somebody else that you lose a sense of who you are because you allow people to do things for you. Helps you control moods, feelings, thoughts. By the way, we are all responsible for our thoughts, words, actions, attitudes, and motives. What's the first one? Thoughts. We are responsible for our thoughts. And sometimes I know it can be difficult to get negative thoughts out of your head. And if you say to yourself, well, I'm not going to think of anything negative, that doesn't work. First thing that pops into your head will be something negative. It's like me telling you not to think of a pink elephant. First thing that comes into your head will be a pink elephant. You have to have some form of cognition, and you have to practice self-cognitive behavioral therapy, which means you deal with thought substitution. You don't think of yourself as a failure, you think of yourself as a success. You don't think of things as a disaster, you think of them as how they're going to benefit your life. Things aren't a problem, they're an opportunity. You change the way you think and the way you speak about a problem that you may have. It strengthens our self-esteem. You know yourself that when you take weight off, what happens? Don't you feel great about yourself? That you had that inner strength and self-mastery and willpower? It's a wonderful feeling. And we have to encourage our kids to develop those emotions and those feelings and that idea that I did it. It enables you to take charge of your life. And believe it or not, it makes you more responsible and trustworthy. Because people know that you're not going to be, they're not going to be dealing with two different people. They're going to be dealing with one person. Because you're not going to be all over the map. Those are the benefits of self-control. And let's back it up just briefly. We have to make sure that we teach character in our schools and not in a haphazard way, but a very, very planned way that covers qualities that help kids with the weaknesses that they have. We understand that we have to teach kids to delay gratification and wait for certain things that they want. That's how you teach self-control. Have to stop asking and start telling. Kids feel much more secure when they're told what to do, and they don't lose control of themselves based upon the fact that, oh, you have a choice. You can do this or this, and they get confused, and before you know it, they become impulsive. And the premise of the whole thing was that people just lack self-control. And there's no question about it. And we want to work with this group of kids that we have in our care right now to help them become better people, better citizens, better adults, better marriage partners, better employees. The list goes on. But we want them to be successful. I saw a very interesting quote the other day. It said, I started to worry when I realized that the people that I graduated from high school with were now running the country. And you know, it's very true. These kids are going to grow up, and they're going to be in positions of power at some point. They're going to be in very, very high-profile jobs. Some of them, not all of them, and they will have gotten there on their own accord. But the biggest thing they're going to have to learn is that they have to have self-control. Those are some of the solutions that we have for you. Excuse me. I hope that you take them back to school and use them. Remember, you have a document in the course that will give you this in writing. You also have another document that is the operational definition of 50 character qualities, not just the 10 I shared with you. We're going to be moving on to hour 3 very soon, or whenever you want to. And with hour 3, what we're going to be looking at is the medicalization of education. How too many kids are on prescription medication to help deal with this lack of self-control. So you'll be getting into that for your next hour, and as you move through, you're going to discover how this all fits together. This concludes this presentation. I hope you enjoy the next one.